Emotions remain raw for people around the world who are mourning the late British singer Liam Payne. Fans of the former member of the boy band One Direction are holding a vigil with his songs, candles and tears outside the hotel where he fell to his death. It's not clear exactly what happened to cause this tragedy, but investigations in Argentina are sharing what they've learned so far. CNN's Elizabeth Wagmeister reports.
New details are coming in as authorities investigate Liam Payne's sudden death after the former One Direction member fell to his death at a hotel in Buenos Aires on Wednesday. A preliminary autopsy report reveals that Payne died from multiple injuries, including external and internal hemorrhages, after falling from what authorities in Argentina said was the third-floor balcony in his hotel room. When police announced Payne's death, they said they were directed to the hotel after a 911 call where they were informed about an aggressive man who could be under the influence of drugs or alcohol. CNN's affiliate in Argentina has obtained that 911 call. Take a listen.
Well, we have a guest who is overwhelmed with drugs and alcohol, and, well, even when he's aware, he breaks things up. He's tearing the whole room apart, and, well, we need someone to be sent, please.
That is under the influence of alcohol and drugs, yes?
Yes, that's right. We need someone to be sent to us urgently because, well, I don't know if the guest's life is at risk. He is in a room that has a balcony and, well, we're a little afraid that he'll do something that puts him...
Photos that were provided to the media by authorities show a smashed television in Payne's hotel room and what appears to be drug paraphernalia, which CNN will not be showing to our viewers. The exact circumstances surrounding Payne's death are still unclear, but on Wednesday, Buenos Aires police told the Associated Press that Payne had jumped from the balcony of his room. When I contacted a spokesperson with the Buenos Aires police, he declined to clarify those details, instead referring me to the prosecutor's office in Argentina. The prosecutor's office said that Payne's fall could have been accidental due to the position in which the body was found and from the injuries of the fall. Prosecutors say he may have fallen in a state of semi or total unconsciousness. Payne's tragic death has sent shockwaves through the world as millions of fans mourn. To a younger generation, One Direction was like the Beatles. For many young fans, this is the first celebrity death that they have ever experienced. Like other generations who were gutted over the sudden deaths of stars like Heath Ledger or Kurt Cobain. That is what a big deal Liam Payne was. His family said in a statement that they are heartbroken. The members of One Direction released a statement saying, quote, "We are completely devastated. In time and when everyone is able to, there will be more to say. But for now, we will take some time to grieve and process the loss of our brother, who we love dearly." Memorials have been planned by fans, including one at Hyde Park in London this Sunday at 2 p.m. A tragic ending to a life lost too soon, and certainly one that will spark a conversation about mental health, substance abuse, and the pressures faced by so many young stars in the spotlight.
And we're also getting more information about Payne's death. Argentina's public prosecutor's office says the 31-year-old musician was alone when he fell to his death from the hotel balcony and that he may not have been fully conscious at the time. CNN and Espol reporter Dario Klein is in Buenos Aires for us and joins us now. Dario, I know you've been talking to fans all throughout the day that are there paying their respects. What have they been telling you?
Well, they are shocked. They are trying to find answers, but most of it, they are trying to comfort themselves. They are here singing their songs, putting candles, just trying to be together, trying to be together in this terrible time, crying and hugging themselves. Most of these young people is from Argentina. They are from the Gen Z, you know, that generation that started to communicate themselves with through social networks. And that's why One Direction was so popular all around the world. And here we have Argentinians, but also we have people from New Zealand.
Yes.
What's your name?
My name is Gise.
And how do you feel? How did you find out? Why are you here now?
I found out through someone sending me a post on Instagram, and it's just really sad. Can't quite believe it, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the situation. Nobody can believe. Everybody's trying to understand what happened. The same as the justice, the same as the prosecutor's office, and even his companions of the band, the One Direction band, that they have a statement today. And as Liam said in his last song, he says, I am broken too. That's one part of his letter. So he probably wasn't passing the best time, and these people here isn't either. Julia.
Yeah, I think the shock, the heartbreak, very clear to see on the people's faces around you and behind you. Dario, great to have you with us. Thank you. Dario Klein there in Buenos Aires. All right, let's talk more about this. Joe Levy is a contributing editor for Rolling Stone, and he joins us now. Joe, excuse me, what I think makes this tragedy all the more poignant is that the hotel staff, and what we're learning now about the events of what took place, is that they recognized he was in great distress, that perhaps the room he was staying in might be dangerous for him because it had a balcony, but they just didn't manage to prevent the tragedy happening that took place.
No, what we've heard in that 911 call is that the hotel staff feared for Liam's safety. It's not necessarily their responsibility to intervene, but they turned to those whose responsibility it would be. In one sense, this is an all too familiar scene, a pop star alone in a hotel, perhaps turning to alcohol or other substances, but also inflicting a little damage on the hotel room. That's one thing we've learned from that 911 call. And that's a familiar story. What happened next and what ultimately happened, the tragedy of what happened, well, it's a little too familiar, but it is not the way things usually go. And it's devastatingly sad because this 31-year-old man leaves behind a 7-year-old child and, as we were hearing earlier, has been famous for more than half his life and globally famous. This is a huge loss for a very engaged generation of pop fans.
And I think what's also clear is that he himself was very open, and we saw a bit of that in Max's report about his struggles in the past with addiction, with mental health, with bullying online, with some abuse. It sort of highlights the fact that you can be incredibly famous, successful, wealthy, beautiful, but in the end you're still human and you still have a human heart, and you can still really struggle and feel very alone at times.
That is all too true. We're talking about someone who, as a child, struggled with health issues. He had kidney problems. At 12 years old, took up boxing because of bullying he had suffered at school. So in some sense, what he talked about, the bullying he felt online once he was an adult and a star, the sense of isolation, his mental health struggles, his substance abuse struggles, these were things that had been with him for quite some time. It is all too true that although pop stars are enormously famous and adored by millions and millions of people, they are often very isolated. They're under intense pressure. They're subject to extreme isolation and great deal of boredom. And it is very, very difficult for these young people.
Yeah, I think there's a message in there very quickly about the pressure that's put on children, quite frankly, in this industry, but in other industries, and whether or not, particularly when things end, and obviously the band broke up many years ago now, but what happens when some of that fame dissipates, some of the success dissipates, but you're still a person of interest. But also I think they need to reach out to anybody around you that you know could be struggling, whether they're calling you or not.
I'm really glad you I think that's absolutely right. This is a pop star, and this is someone who is enormously famous and wealthy and still struggles with these issues. But we see many people around us in our lives, in our families, who struggle with similar issues. And we do need to reach out to those people at moments like this. It's a particularly vulnerable and difficult time for those who might struggle with depression, who might struggle with some substance abuse issues, when someone famous has tragically passed in this manner.
Yeah. Joe, good to chat to you. Thank you.